Hi, I'm Marco Pizzo. I live in Bluff Park, and this is my husband, Jeff.
Hi, I'm Jeff Mallin. Both of us are on the Bluff Park Neighborhood Association board, and I'm involved in a number of projects with historic preservation. I'm really honored and pleased to be here.
So what inspired me personally to get involved with preservation? I think it started at a young age. Even in design school, I think I was always referencing old classic buildings. I always kind of was known from my other fellow students that, oh, Marco will throw in some classic architectural twist to things. And so I've always been attracted to the history of buildings, the order of buildings, and how things are put together, especially in yesteryear and other times. And so that's always been an attraction to me. I think it led us to getting our first home, which was in Sherman Oaks, and that was a 1950s Mallin home, which are very characteristic for these birdhouses on the front. And I think we both really enjoyed that.
That was about 30 years ago, and we worked really hard to kind of bring that home back. And the exciting part for me with historic preservation a lot, it comes back to the stories. And I remember when we were taking off the wallpaper, first there was paneling and wallpaper and paint inside the living room space there in Sherman Oaks. On the wall was written in huge writing, "Whatley loves Shirley," and we knew that was probably the original owner, and it just made us smile. So when we got our Sherman Oaks home about our Long Beach home rather, about 25 years ago, and moved into the Bluff Park Historic District, we also did a similar amount of renovation to that. And I remember pulling off some of the hinges to the upstairs cabinet, an original built-in cabinet, turning it over, taking off the layers of paint, and being really surprised and excited to find stamped on the back the date January 31st/88. So it was 1888. So that was an exciting thing. And then fast forward to about a little bit more than 10 or 12 years ago, when we did a birthday party for our street in...
Right, when our home, along with some others on our street, turned 100 years old, we had a what was called the Paloma Centennial Celebration. And so it was the 100-year celebration of multiple homes.
A memorable moment in our preservation efforts, probably most comes to mind, is the Bluff Park Historic Lamppost Project, which started in about 2015, and there were two actual stories that I think are really inspiring. One is in the early stages, as we were after the Paloma Centennial Celebration, we actually had that group of people that we've been meeting with regularly. So we had this kind of committee, and so it was just kind of logical when actually on this very stage, the Preservationists of the Year, Karen Heiberger, mentioned our project to this group, and kind of put us on the line and kind of lit the fire underneath of us to actually get the project going. One of the earliest memories that we have is actually having done some research and working with the city of Long Beach, particularly Public Works, working and looking at their historical files, the microfiche, that kind of thing. We went back and forth with a number of the people, and George Magana, who was in the Public Works department, emailed me one day the actual sketch from 1927 of the East First Street lampposts upon which this project was built and designed. And that was amazing to see that PDF. I blew it up.
Yeah, we felt like we undug a relic or something.
Yeah, exactly. And he gave it to us. And so we always credit him. It was amazing to work with, as were a lot of the people in Public Works, because obviously this was a collaborative effort with a lot of people in the city. But I remember blowing that image up and looking at the very bottom and finding the words Union Metal at the bottom. And then I just threw a Google search, realized the company was still in existence, made a number of calls, and was super excited to connect with somebody there who said, yes, those are our lampposts, and we would be happy to work with you on the project going forward and make the ongoing lampposts. So that was super exciting. And then, of course, Fast forward to a couple of years later.
It took almost a couple of years later to come to fruition, where they were groundbreaking along the street on the 10 locations that these lampposts were going to be installed as the pilot project along Paloma Avenue. And we must have just been so giddy and seeing the birth of a child of some sort, because it was very, very exciting for us to see that project come to fruition after so long, and such dedicated people in the city, on our committees, on our board, and so and all the donors and people that supported it. So it was really probably a very, very high moment in our lifetimes to see